we tried. We tried our best here at Recency Bias Radio to forewarn everyone, to forewarn the Carson and the Cynthia fanboys and gals as to why this move was monumentally stupid. They didn't want to listen to us. They thought Shayna deserved that smoke. Well, ladies and gentlemen, live feeds are boring. No one really cares about this season the way they did maybe 7 days ago. I mean, it's completely in the mud, and it's because production had to give TODRICK whatever he wanted. Huh? They had to give him every present he wanted for Christmas, huh? And in this rant, ladies and gentlemen, the 15th rant entitled Karma Day Carson, I'm going to break down how Carson KRESSLEY's flop and choke of an HOH week, which, let's be real, was only such a flop and choke because he decided to play Cynthia's game and let her take the reins, has led Todd Bridges down the path of being forced to stay loyal to MIESHA and TODRICK for one more week because Carson was dumb enough to nominate Todd as a pawn when that should have been TODRICK's slot the entire week. Because of that one minor move, Todd has no reason to be open to flipping this week. He'd rather flip next week after you're gone, Carson. And the fact that Todd, during tonight's episode, told us all he thinks just the simple gesture of leaving Cynthia off the block will lead to her flipping back with him. Newsflash, Todd. She's doing everything she can for her adopted son, Toddler, to win the game. She's going to always take his side, and whoever that comes with, which means MIESHA Tate, over you and LAMAR ODOM. Why can't these people smell the roses? In this 15th rant of Celebrity Big Brother 3, I'm going to break down all of the ins and outs of the facets of the subtle intricacies of this game, and I'm going to explain to you all why, now that MIESHA Tate is confirmed as the veto winner, Carson KRESSLEY is Shadow Realm bound. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the critically acclaimed, the Pop the Trunk podcast, now Patreon exclusively sponsored Hall of Fame, Recency Bias Radio, where no one is safe from criticism. I'm, of course, your humble host, Dave Smith, Pretty Boy Smitty, Protocol Paul, Pearl Game Ultra, the Rant God, Hotep Thanos, Throne Thanos, Metro Kaiba, the Pro-Black Prodigy, the Shadow Realm Shaman, the Pronoun Punisher, and the No-Sleep Assassin, here to bring balance back to Big Brother Celebrity Season 3, all of the above on that ISET test and ACT. You know what it is! And we tried to tell CNC that they needed their vitamins because, let's keep it real, Shayna was the GNC that they needed to back them up and give them the extra strength within to handle the onslaught of the Wonder Twins. And they jagged it completely, coach. They jagged it. Huh? This could have been such a simple week, but y'all made it complicated because you made last week overly complicated. And as a fan watching these feeds, watching these people try to bash Shayna when she's no longer there, more bullying tactics. TODRICK's out here letting the world know he knows when Shayna's taking certain jury members out to lunch. Dang, production, how much are you letting him know? I got to deal with TODRICK and MIESHA this morning on live feeds. This is the TODRICK and MIESHA show. And all they want to do is damage control every dirty move they made in this game. So now it's to the point now where they're over here trying to do their final 2 jury speech in final 6 because they're that arrogant and cocky. Thanks, Carson and Cynthia. You created this timeline. Dang. At this point, it's a foregone conclusion. What's the point of sitting through a Friday episode, a Saturday episode, a Sunday episode, a Monday episode, when all of these players have handed the game to them? Every player this season wants to put it on the next man, the next woman to take a shot at the duo. Oh, this week, I want to take out someone else. But you know what? Next week, we'll figure out a way to take them. How about next week? Yeah, next week. How about next week? I'm looking at Todd, and look, I know this ain't all on Todd because it was on Carson last week. I'm aware of that. But with that said, the fact that Todd even thinks Cynthia would be willing to flip with him after he takes out Carson. Listen, if Cynthia's shown us anything, she cares the most about moist men. So if you take out Carson, what makes you think she gonna like you after that, bro? The only way you could assume she would still like you after taking out Carson is if that fight was fake. And at the end of the day, no matter what, it's an L. So now we're in lose-lose situationville, where Todd and Lamar are the only ones worth rooting for, but Cynthia sold Lamar, Todd, and Carson down the river by not splitting up that duo last week. She sold them all down the river. And see, Cynthia benefits from all of this because she's such a layup, she'll get dragged to Final Three no matter what. She don't got to put no work, no ethic towards anything, and she gets dragged. The rest of these men, they got to fight in the Hunger Games just to make it to the Final Three because you decided to play a personal, emotional game with SHANNA. You squandered the Mon for every black man that ain't moist. And I think TODRICK already can't win, so really you squandered it for every black man, Cynthia. Thanks. So for me to see her during tonight's episode trying to twist this around like, oh, Todd didn't put me on the block. I can become the new veto queen. You just exposed another thing you were jealous of SHANNA of. It's like, damn, Cynthia, please be a little bit more self-aware of how you say things. You send SHANNA home, you start a fight with her, you take MIESHA and TODRICK's side, and then the first thing you want to talk about the next episode is you want to be a veto queen? Where was that veto queen energy at weeks ago when Carson needed you to win something? Where was it then? Now all of a sudden, it finally clicks that I could win a veto and take Carson off. You could have won a veto week 1 and took him off. It's so frustrating, man. It's so frustrating. And poor Carson, he can't even afford to really vent how he feels. He got to keep drilling the point home that we're classy, keep it classy, because that's really all you got over SHANNA at this point, the fact that you're willing to keep it classy. But to be fair, if I played as bad as I did, I got to be humble about it because I'm already going to get clowned anyway. So that forces Carson down the path of tucking his tail and just accepting an L. But for me to see Todd throw up Lamar like that, I'm like, damn, now Lamar's game is hurt. Because in theory, Lamar had a higher chance of winning veto, taking someone off, forcing Todd to put up a MIESHA or a TODRICK. Oh, there's the flip. But we can't even get that. Because Todd is too busy trying to rework a relationship with Cynthia. He's too busy trying to please MIESHA and TODRICK simultaneously. And because of that, we can't have nice things. See, I got to speak for every fan here when I break down this game because what y'all got to understand is one tiny choke leads to a stampede of one side dominating. You have to take advantage of your moments. Carson won a wall comp just to take out SHANNA? Look, I get it. SHANNA in theory could have been a massive threat for you, bruh. But for Carson to make that deal with MIESHA and TODRICK and just assume they're going to upkeep it, why even take that risk? You already had Lamar and SHANNA in your pocket. So you're going to substitute them for MIESHA and TODRICK, two harder people to beat? For what? And by the way, thank you so much, Transparent, for the super chat. But my point is, it's just dumb. If you play to reach the end, why would you try to swap out two players who are already loyal to you and try to bring in two others that got to learn the chemistry of the team first before they're any good next to you? It's just stupidity. This guy TODRICK is completely full of himself, and it's because every single opposition has decided to hand him his win condition on a silver platter. Hey, who is your number one target this week, TODRICK? That's who I'm going to target, man. Not because it makes any sense for my game, but because I want to do it for you. Then for me to see TODRICK on live feeds be as cheeky as he was last night, talking about, oh, but I'm sure I really wanted good TV, though, for the people, though. I mean, wouldn't it have been great if SHANNA got the chance to compete in veto? I mean, I was laughing so hard when her name never got picked. Trolling us. The guy is straight up trolling us. Because he know her chip was not in that bag. That's why he clowning her. Oh, we got some notes to get into too, by the way. I just want to make sure y'all get in here, because when we get into breaking down everything that's happened on live feeds, and it ain't much happened, all right? I'm going to break down Monday, Tuesday, and a little bit of today when the Vita results came in, and I'm going to break down how the game seems to be shaking out heading into Friday. And see, the reason why Carson and Cynthia choked even harder is because guess what, ladies and gentlemen? TODRICK is now on to Todd and LAMAR. He's on to LAMAR because Todd was dumb enough to pick both of them to be partners for that punishment. So now both of them are basically chain gang together like Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence in life. All right, so LAMAR, however way he feels about whatever in life, TODRICK's gonna now gain intel on. And LAMAR accidentally let it slip up. He would rather MIESHA leave than SHANNA. He said that in front of everyone. MIESHA almost walked off. We saw that in tonight's episode. I mentioned that in the last rant, right? Well, LAMAR also got into a debate with TODRICK about MIESHA. And then TODRICK had the nerve to create the argument that, but do you want some blonde-haired white woman to make it to the end of this game? And then that's when LAMAR was like, MIESHA's a white woman too, bro. So why you even bringing it up? Race don't matter to me. Skin color don't matter to me. He's like, I'm not saying skin color matters. And then LAMAR's like, well, then why'd you bring it up? TODRICK looks completely, he looks like an idiot. I'm just going to keep it a bean in these streets. He looks like a dummy because he puts MIESHA Tate on a pedestal and he acts like just because she does MMA, she's honorary black. It's weird. MIESHA Tate is not a minority, TODRICK. Someone needs to let you know that. But you play this game of any white woman not named MIESHA is spoiled. But MIESHA, she can count as a person of color, a gay person, or a black person. It's like, bruh, what? And the inconsistency in these arguments is why I can't take him seriously when he virtue signals, and I hope I've been consistent with that. I've tried my best to call it out as I see it, but not go overboard. Now, let's get into this episode, then we could get into the feeds. I'm going to break down this episode better with the feeds, but there's some things that I noticed. Did you notice how the first 7 minutes of this episode was pure damage control from production to the fans? It kicks off exactly where SHANNA left. And by the way, thank you so much for all the other super chats. Tamika, salute to you. Oh, Tamika came through. Dang. And dang, she came through like 17 times. I ain't mad at you, coach. Double back, coach. You finna dig me? Spray up the hood. But anyway, now, it kicks off where SHANNA left. TODRICK claims if anyone in the jury listens to her, he doesn't want their vote. When he said that out loud, I said, what an idiot. And the fact that production put that in the edit, how cocky are they? But let's continue. Carson says, if everything MIESHA and TODRICK said is true, the people will take their side in the fight versus SHANNA. But they weren't telling the truth, so the people aren't on their side, Carson. And you'll find that out on Friday. And hearing TODRICK talk about what is or isn't classy, when he brought up KRESSLEY's son, disgusts me of the highest level. How can this guy be on a moral high ground talking about what is classy and what isn't? Y'all ain't got evicted yet. It's not your place to say how you would leave, especially when y'all choked and it led to other people's games being squandered. This is the only opportunity a lot of these other people will ever have in making this type of money that fast. I think of Carson KRESSLEY. I think of Cynthia Bailey. I think y'all got money to the point where it don't matter that much to y'all, and that's why y'all ain't willing to get down and dirty and really play the game. Now, last week y'all were dirty, but any other week y'all will act like y'all won't be that dirty. But that's my point, right? When it comes to SHANNA, y'all willing to be as dirty as everyone else. When it comes to anyone else, though, y'all act like y'all have been classy the whole time. We don't like that inconsistency of energy. We don't like that. Because the way y'all did SHANNA was completely grimy. It was completely grimy. Then for them to create the narrative, we have the right to be mad at her, not the other way around. Like, what? Are you kidding me? SHANNA was a super fan of this game, Cynthia. A super fan having their only chance at this game ruined by a damn recruit who's emotional over a move from week 1 when they won't even keep that energy with the gay black man down the block. Sorry, she has every right to be bitter. Because from her perspective, she's not being judged as a player. She's being judged as a white woman. And look, in prior seasons, I might smoke a bag of some of the stuff they got to say. But this specific season, how the strategy has been, by definition, abysmal, I can't cop any pleas for y'all. Because the pleas y'all are trying to cop, y'all only trying to cop because production's letting you know y'all are being clowned. So now y'all are trying to damage control, be your own defense attorneys on these feeds. It's not even entertaining feeds because now all y'all trying to do is explain away why last week wasn't shit. But y'all are making this week ain't shit, trying to justify last week. How are we... Oh, this is going to be a classic because I'm really talking. How are we supposed to look forward to the rest of this game when we have players claiming Shayna don't own her game, and yet Cynthia still hasn't owned the fact that she was the secret HOH? When I heard she got second place in that HOH comp, I had to watch tonight to know the real context. She got second place, technically, but no one else got a damn point. I mean, damn, no one even cared. I bet you if you split up that duo, Carson, they would have cared enough to compete in that HOH. But the problem is, you gave them a free week. So now they're going into this week thinking we ain't got to win because we made a deal with Carson. So now let's let Todd win so Todd can do the move. So now, Carson, your legacy looks even worse, bro. Because while you and Cynthia would love to create the narrative that Shayna should have never used the veto on you, while y'all would like to create the narrative, oh, you did that for your own game. Why didn't you just keep noms the same and let Carson go out valiantly like he wanted to? Let KRESSLEY stay in the game. All that hot stuff. Oh, it sounds nice in practice, but the truth is, you were better off Shayna not using that veto on you, because at least MIESHA Tate would have been the one getting your ass out. You got to deal with the fact that Todd Bridges is going to send you to the shadow realm. I know it hurts. I know it hurts. Ashy Larry is finna send you to the shadow realm. He's finna take your life points down to 0, coach. He done took your star chips. Huh? How you let Todd Bridges take your star chips? Are you kidding me, Carson? Are you kidding me, Carson? And here's the thing, Carson. But wait, there's more. If you would have just kept Shayna as a shield, I'm willing to bet Todd is probably open to letting Shayna go before you this week. What an idiot! What an idiot! But you didn't expect Todd would ever win over MIESHA and TODRICK. You never thought TODRICK would be dirty enough to throw a comp to a minion to get you out, because he can't, because y'all have some unspeakable moist alliance. Does it make it any difference if he's the one holding the gun or he's the one commanding the hitman to go kill you? What's the difference? He still ain't shit. He still deserves the same smoke Shayna got. But do you see Cynthia giving any smoke to MIESHA? MIESHA won the veto. Cynthia, where you at? Where's the pressure being applied on MIESHA to use the veto to take Carson off, to keep the deal, to keep us all safe this week? Where's the energy? It's as if Cynthia now has rolled over it and just died. All she want to do is lay down this week. See, that's my problem, Cynthia. Last week, when Carson had the HOH robe, you was big stuff. You walking up and down, trying to throw your weight around. But now a week later, Carson on the block, you not even on the block. You still making it about you. Which is telling Carson, I need to chill. I can't show her any emotion because she gonna get more emotional and then we ain't gonna leave classy. So now Carson's trying his best to keep your head in leaving classy when you ain't even on the chopping block this week. It's him. So you took the man's HOH identity from him, and now he can't even go out as the victim because now you're trying to be the bigger victim when you're not even on the block. I mean, dog, I can't make this up. I can't make this up. Y'all tell me if I'm wrong. The super chats tell me I'm right. I'm just saying what it is. Man. Ooh. All right. Let's keep going. I got a vent today. All right. I had a day off yesterday. Y'all knew y'all was getting some energy tonight. Then we see LAMAR admit to wanting to vote MIESHA off, and that gets put on blast before MIESHA walks off angry. Then we see the flea market deal Carson and Cynthia made with MIESHA and TODRICK for 1 week of safety, but that deal was always fake. MIESHA and TODRICK can just say they would have stayed loyal to that deal because now they know Todd is HOH. Understand, they are thirsty to appear trustworthy and worthy of winning and not slimy because Shayna put them on blast for the casuals to see during Monday night's episode. And it didn't match the edit being shown. Understand, the reason why TODRICK, MIESHA, Cynthia, and Carson care so much about the narrative still being told a certain way post Shayna leaving is because they're aware via production, they're aware of how the edit is being told. Meaning TODRICK knows the edit didn't show the bullying. So he knows as long as he opposes what SHANNA said, it will look as if he's telling the truth. But if SHANNA was always lying, if what she said had no validity to it, he wouldn't be so bothered by it. MIESHA admits to not caring about this comp because Todd winning is good for a game, proving the deal she made with Carson was fake. Her and TODRICK didn't even try in the HOH comp because they didn't have to. If Carson splits them up, one of them fights harder for this HOH easily. By taking SHANNA out, Todd wins easily because nobody else even tried besides CYNTHIA. What an embarrassing HOH comp. So 2 episodes in a row production, you got a problem here because the integrity of your game is in the mud. On Monday night, no one cared about the veto comp because SHANNA was kept from the veto draw. Then you have an HOH comp tonight no one cares about because no one in the damn game is trying to win it. So why should we watch? You all are creating a problem for yourself here. I'm trying to warn y'all ahead of time by giving y'all that truth. That tough love. The type of stuff Carson and CYNTHIA won't give TODRICK. I'm trying to give y'all. But if y'all ain't willing to listen, it is what it is. Now, Todd then wins the HOH, and he has the choice to pick between 2 mascots for his Mojito drink. And he chooses Lamar and TODRICK, trying to be strategic. This leads to production trying to buck break Lamar something serious, but he wasn't going. And I even appreciate the fact that they kept the soundbite in of him saying, I ain't trying to wear no dress. I appreciate that, Lamar. Don't let these people break you. Now, TODRICK was legit worried about touching the block, even though he used the veto on Todd, which once again shows he only used it on Todd because he was worried that Todd could flip on him. So thank you, Carson. By putting Todd on that block over TODRICK, guess what? If you put TODRICK on the block with MIESHA and TODRICK still wins that same veto, he has to take himself off, not MIESHA. Meaning MIESHA is back on the block with someone that you can dictate. In my opinion, the move every time, even if you're Carson, and this sounds crazy, but I would have thrown CYNTHIA on the block there. Because no one, even TODRICK, sends CYNTHIA home over MIESHA, and that's it. It don't make sense. And later on in this rant, I'm going to break down how Todd had a chance here to get out TODRICK this week if he was me. And I'm going to break down what I would have done in Todd's shoes this week a little bit later in the rant. Don't worry. Now, Todd thinks keeping CYNTHIA off the block and taking Carson out will lead to CYNTHIA flipping to his side, but she won't. I think she'll do anything for TODRICK. Notice how production clowns CYNTHIA for thinking she can win the veto. She is becoming a running joke, and that's sad. Carson then says this is their Hail Mary moment before joking about Hail Marys being a play designed for basketball. I laughed at that a little bit. Then CYNTHIA, before the episode ends, said that she will be another veto queen in the house. The heel turn is real, and they even had her in a borderline Sith Lord Star Wars hoodie the whole damn episode. They're telling you she went to the dark side of the Force. I'm trying to tell y'all, production is subtly telling us through symbolism TODRICK has convinced her to turn to the dark side. Y'all gotta listen, I'm telling y'all. Now let's get into the live feeds notes because I'm gonna break down everything we noticed during tonight's episode, but in a better, in-depth way. Okay, here we go. Around 9:30 p.m., feeds return and live feeders find out Todd Bridges is the HOH. Coming out of Monday night's eviction of SHANNA, fans had some remaining hope, thinking Todd could flip this week. First thing I noticed about feeds was how CYNTHIA and Carson are all super cool with Todd all of a sudden. All 3 of them are just lounging on the couches as if Todd and CYNTHIA didn't have a fight 3 days ago. This just further told me the fight was fake, and it also told me Carson is beginning to realize last week's mistake. Todd should have never touched the block initially last week, but because Carson was dumb enough to nominate him, he gave TODRICK the opportunity to be a superhero by saving Todd with the veto. That one gesture guaranteed Todd would never flip on TODRICK and MIESHA before Carson. It's gone. And if that weren't bad enough, CYNTHIA allowing Carson to play her emotional game has now managed to screw over Lamar as much as Carson because Todd is talking like he's open to nominating Lamar over CYNTHIA. Doesn't this further tell us the fight was fake? Why would Todd even consider letting CYNTHIA skate by this week when she almost made him a house target over the weekend? Why would he even expect her to flip to his side? None of this even adds up from a chronological standpoint, ladies and gentlemen. And why would Todd ever consider throwing up his man Lamar? Why do that to Lamar? If you need a pawn, pick one of them 2 over there. MIESHA and TODRICK aren't dumb. First of all, they threw the HOH to Todd so he can take out Carson, and they technically don't have to break any deals. Ask yourself, if Carson and Cynthia had split up MIESHA and TODRICK, would SHANNA have thrown HOH to Todd? Nope. This just shines a brighter light on the choke job of Carson. The Wonder Twins know in a Final Six scenario, it's best to have LAMAR next to Carson because Cynthia is the least likely to win the veto. By doing this, LAMAR can only save himself, which leads to Cynthia being the backdoor pawn. So make no mistake about it, Cynthia and Carson's paranoia towards SHANNA made them overlook the numbers advantage they already had in Final 7, which led to them going from having 4 people to having just 2 by Friday. They ruined their own alliance for no reason and gave the other side all the power. Now LAMAR's game could be over if Carson wins veto because CNC choked last week. So notice, the most likable players are all in trouble because CNC refused to hold TODRICK accountable. Carson and Cynthia both visibly look worried now that Todd pulled off the win because they let SHANNA go, assuming MIESHA and TODRICK would have their backs. But what action have they proven to CNC that they even suggested they would allow them to make Final 5? They just ignored SHANNA's actions in using the veto to keep both together. Now, after their action to take SHANNA out to fit in with the cool kids, they are set up to have their actions ignored and be treated like SHANNA was. I alluded to this happening in my last rant. Carson gave the other side an excuse to betray him because he wasn't even loyal to the person who saved him. The House would discuss the vote and then segue to how almost every vote this season was unanimous. Whose fault is that, though? Y'all so scared of MIESHA and spoiled TODRICK so much, the votes were never going to be split like they were during the TEDDI vote ever again. Carson had the chance to take out MIESHA or TODRICK guaranteed, which could have changed the voting the rest of the season, but he decided on making this season boring, so unanimous votes come with the territory. Then TODRICK says it really shows how much SHANNA was playing both sides that both sides could unanimously keep MIESHA over her. No. It shows me how rigged the season is because it logically makes no sense for anyone if the game was not predetermined. TEDDI was taken out for being in a trio, but MIESHA was given a free ride last week despite having Todd and TODRICK as a trio. That means Cynthia and Carson are admitting TEDDI is a bigger threat than MIESHA because they did not target MIESHA based off the reasoning MIESHA's side took out TEDDI, further proving their beef with SHANNA from the TEDDI vote was stupid because they let TEDDI down themselves. Todd says he doesn't like garbage or messiness. He wants players to be right with each other. Cynthia agrees. But didn't these two just get messy on Friday with each other? Isn't this the biggest hypocritical conversation of all time? Wasn't Cynthia messy with Todd and SHANNA? All of these people are full of crap. But Cynthia specifically is the most full of crap because she isn't even motivated to talk game unless there is drama involved. Then she relies on TODRICK's opinion on everything to be her 10 commandments. Hearing these people portray SHANNA as the reason for all the drama when all of them jumped on her out of fear is laughable. It's like being the only kid in class trying to actually learn and having all the class clowns claim you are the clown for doing your assignments. SHANNA is basically being clowned for trying to play the game old school. She is being clowned for trying to give fans some entertainment. She is being clowned because deep down the whole house knows she deserved to win more than 5 out of the remaining 6 of them. Based on what people are discussing, LAMAR has to wear some leotard or costume because the HOH comp had punishments. We didn't really see that during tonight's episode, but understand LAMAR is going to be linked to TODRICK. It's a buck breaking at play. It was only 1 day, but it was enough for TODRICK to learn enough information about LAMAR to push for LAMAR and Todd to go before Cynthia. So at the end of the day, both of these black men are in trouble heading into next week. Todd is the outgoing HOH. He's a sitting duck now because they're going to take him out before LAMAR. So now all the pressure's on LAMAR to win HOH because no one believes Cynthia can pull it off. You see how she set up all these people to fail just for TODRICK? Todd is happy he got a win for his kids. LAMAR is visibly angry about having to wear a costume because Todd picked him to wear it. So it sounds like this week is the beginning of LAMAR flipping on Todd. You do not pick your allies to wear these embarrassing costumes. And this just further exposes how dumb Cynthia and Carson were. Now LAMAR is out here being turned into a clown because CNC were clowns last week. Now, around 10:20 p.m., Carson and Cynthia finally have some time alone in the kitchen. Now we get to see if they understand the ramifications of their choke job or not. Carson walks up to Cynthia while she does dishes to say, we might be in trouble. Dude, y'all were in trouble the second you backdoored Shayna. What are you talking about? You feel what I mean? If Shayna was still here, she would be the target for Todd and TODRICK over you, Carson. But you decided to play Cynthia's game, even though she don't understand the game she's even playing. Understand, Carson called an audible and changed the play for someone who doesn't even understand his playbook. I mean, dog, what is you doing in these streets, bruh? You know what I'm saying? If this was pros versus Joes, he just flipped and went on the average Joes team for no reason, when he had all the potential to be a pro. It's like, bro, what is you doing? But anyway, Cynthia and Carson both claim it's fine. But if the game wasn't personal for y'all, why did y'all do Shayna like that? See, now that they are being exposed even worse, they want to act humble in defeat, but when you were so cocky in success, you will get no sympathy from me for those actions. Once again, Cynthia is back to saying, you can stay, I'll go, to Carson. As if it's her choice when she leaves. But this is the woman saying, you think you're so good, Shayna. Everything isn't about you. Huh? She was the one saying that last week, huh? But now she's the one who just decided, you can stay this week, Carson. I'll go. Todd is HOH. I'm sure he'll decide I have to go. It's not on MIESHA and TODRICK, the actual votes this week. I'm just going to decide I want to leave. Then when she isn't on the block, she creates the narrative that she can be the veto queen and it all went to plan. What? How do you play both sides? See, she's playing both sides with the damn strategy because she don't know what she's doing, right? 1 minute, she was scared of being on the block. The next minute, her and Carson have complete confidence they made the right decision. Once Todd wins, they regret the decision a little bit, but can't admit it because they know they're being clowned regardless, so they got to stand on it. It's like, bro, what's going on, yo? I can't make this stuff up. So, and with there being 4 black people out of 6 left, I could argue Cynthia isn't even as much of an asset to Carson's game as Shayna would have been at this stage. Who was going to waste an HOH on Cynthia after last week? Nobody. Cynthia is not making it far because she is good. She is making it far because she is so bad. She really thought all that ass kissing she did of MIESHA and TODRICK last week would change the way they viewed Carson as a threat. The only way they could have changed the way Carson was viewed was to keep Shayna around as a shield to push Carson further. If Shayna was here and Todd still won HOH, Cynthia wouldn't even be saying, you can stay, I'll go. She would be saying, win veto and we both are still here, just like week 3, because Shayna would be the bigger target. But now with no Shayna, and with Cynthia being the worst player left by a long margin, Lamar or Carson are guaranteed to leave the game on Friday. Really, it's Carson now because MIESHA won veto. Understand, Cynthia's anger towards Shayna screwed over every ally she has in the game except TODRICK. How convenient is that for production? Think about that. Every single person in the game connected to her were screwed over by that one personally emotional move but TODRICK. And you're telling me that wasn't by design. I had people commenting on the last year, oh, give TODRICK his credit day. I'm giving him some credit. Y'all want me to give him everything. No. I see the rigging. I can give you so much before I go, nah. This is the Tuck rule. This Brady versus the Raiders. I'm just saying what it is. Huh? It's the Todd rule. But anyway, so yeah, this is really sad at the end of the day. Understand, Cynthia's anger towards Shayna screwed over every ally she has in the game except TODRICK, which is convenient for production. And now instead of her running to her best friends, MIESHA and TODRICK, for help, she has accepted her fate as if she is an equal threat to Carson now. I told y'all she thought that was her HOH because she thinks she's on Carson's level. You have never been a big threat for MIESHA. She was just willing to let you go over MARAI week 2. That don't mean you're a big threat to her. That just means MARAI was more of a number for her than you. The delusions of grandeur are real. She literally set Carson up for failure this week, and all she can say is, I'll go, you stay. Why couldn't she say that last week and let Shayna stay over her? Can we keep it real? Can we keep it real in the field? I know y'all thinking the same thing I am. You feel me? It's because all she ever wanted was to outlast Shayna. That's the hard-hitting truth, y'all. Once Shayna left before her, Cynthia was ready to pack her bags and leave. She's like, oh, my mission is over now. That's what it seems like on them live feeds. Because when Shayna was around, Cynthia looked super motivated to make it to the end of this game, possibly win it. Soon as Shayna's gone, you know what? I'm not willing to get down and dirty like everyone else. You just got done being dirty the last 3 days. What are you talking about? And now she doesn't even care when she leaves the game, but last week she made the game all about herself with Shayna. As Chief Keef once said, this that shit that I don't like, bang bang. Alright? Imagine allowing your biggest enemy to convince you they are more of your friend than your friend, only to then give up once you realize you got played by your enemy again. This is Cynthia on Monday night. She not going to bring any of that Shayna smoke to anyone else, though. And I feel a tiny bit bad for Carson because, like I said, that Todd fight forced him down a path of wasting his HOH to nominate Todd to support her. Remember, that fight started because Todd didn't promise Cynthia his vote. But Todd eventually voted for her to stay over KIRKPATRICK anyway. So everything surrounded that fight has no merit. It was done to help TODRICK, and CNC are too proud to admit they made a huge blunder. Cynthia even said, my work is done here. What work has she done? Like, I'm not even trying to roast. I'm asking legitimate questions here. Where does all of this ego come from? In this game specifically, I mean. Because the Cynthia I remember before it was time to take out Shayna was very humble and self-aware of the fact that she won that good. That other people were playing better. Now all of a sudden Shayna leaves. It's like she feels like she's Miss USA now. Like she has absorbed her Infinity Stones. You haven't. You haven't, and you proved you didn't because you didn't win the veto and take Carson off this week when you could have proved you were Shayna. It ain't easy being Shayna, is it? See? Woo. Craziness. Craziness. She threw someone under the bus for playing both sides, even though she snuck information to the other side for weeks. She is acting as if making sure Shayna didn't make Final Six was enough of an accomplishment for her legacy as a player. This just further shows how it was a personal issue she had with her. It wasn't really game. And she lied saying it was strategy because it isn't strategy. And she isn't strategic. Both Cynthia and Carson create the narrative. They tried to make a deal with the most likely people to win HOH, but since Todd won, they know what's up. There was no self-accountability or self-reflection based off how much better they would be off if Shayna won this HOH, or just made it to this HOH. Carson can't afford to admit any of this until Cynthia admits it, because she made last week about her. In my honest opinion, Carson is dumbing himself down just to remain loyal to Cynthia. He isn't being honest about what he sees because she can't see it, and it's forced his hand into being one of the worst HOHs borderline players ever. Cynthia is talking like a quitter on Monday night, and noms haven't even happened. But these same people clown Shayna for possibly contemplating quitting when she got jumped by 4 people. This dichotomy should tell you once again why Cynthia never agreed to the one-on-one with Shayna. Cynthia then asks if it's all worth it before saying they had a good run. But they had a terrible run. And why are y'all only at peace now? Y'all should be as embarrassed as LAMAR is for having to wear a costume right now. Then Cynthia has the nerve to play the victim by acting like what happened with Shayna was too much. Cynthia's the only one who kept starting it back up with her. Now because she realized she screwed over Carson to settle a petty vendetta with Shayna, she's acting like Shayna was mistreated. The revisionist history is real, y'all. You could tell CNC are copping pleas with fans on feeds by acting like all of a sudden they really like Shayna. Get the hell out of here with these lies. Y'all backdoored her, ostracized her, and bullied her, but you liked her? If you do those things to people you like, how do you treat those you don't? Because from my perspective, both of them have treated MIESHA better for targeting them than they have treated LAMAR or Shayna for trying to work with them. And they are only saying these things about Shayna now because Todd won HOH. If MIESHA or TODRICK had won, these 2 clown players would be excited for their own demise. And that's true too. Then Carson claims it's a game. Leave with some dignity. But he didn't target Shayna with any dignity. He didn't hear her out fairly either. And he allowed his enemies to skate by long enough to get Todd Bridges, of all people, to take him out. Shayna had every right to leave the way she did, and why are they acting like she left so badly? All she did was hug two people, give Todd credit, and say what she plans to do to TODRICK if he reaches the end. How is that not having dignity? It's not as if she is barefoot Claire not taking a shower. Come on, coach. I've seen worse. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? This tells me Carson and Cynthia are more mad at Shayna shitting on their adopted son TODRICK than they are mad about the fact that they choked their own games away. They shouldn't be focused on how she left, but the fact that they can still find a way to blame her for something just further shows why neither one deserves AFP. And if you ask me, the extra money that was won during that HOH comp was probably the money production promised them for betraying Shayna. Because during the comp tonight, I didn't see really anyone talk about any extra money that was won, but on feeds, Carson admitted the HOH comp had some rewards to it in which Cynthia earned some money somehow. So one has to connect these dots. Was she rewarded for making last week's HOH about herself, which nuked the games of all the other players that provided any type of opposition for MIESHA and TODRICK? You have to wonder these things, because I already thought she was being paid under the table, but during the episode, I didn't really see a moment where she was handed any money. So it's like, very interesting. Now, think about it. Isn't it weird that production would choose a reward HOH comp right after the whole house bullied Shayna? Why would production want to hand out more money if they were on a budget and couldn't afford Tiffany Pollard before the season? Am I the only one noticing how contrived the timing of this is? It's like it was planned out to hand some extra cash to someone for the fake fight with Todd and ruining Carson's HOH. But I'm sleep though. So with that context added, doesn't it sound a little too perfect that now Cynthia is ready to leave? After production gave her a pay raise for ruining the season? Pay attention! Pay attention! Now all of a sudden, you know what? I'm ready to bow on out. I appreciate the extra 10K though. What? All this talk about Shayna not leaving the way they wanted her to leave is a waste of time. But the fact that they are doing this shows me they are only concerned with the way she walked out because it didn't match the edit, which hid the bullying. Cynthia and Carson are really bothered she didn't hug them. They are salty she didn't allow them to have the best of both worlds. You know, betray her and then allow her to make you all still look like good people on her way out. F all that. I like the old school aspect of just walking out, hugging the people you actually like, and let them know, oh, finale night, it's popping. I like that. This is what got me into this game. The rawness. That's what I like. The organicness. You feel it? Dig me? That's what we like. We want people being their real selves. Not some archetype of an archetype of who they want you to think they are. We don't want to see that. They are mad because they know the outside world no longer likes them as players. Shayna walking out that house symbolized every serious fan walking out on the season. Nobody is really watching feeds anymore because they are boring. I wouldn't if I didn't have to cover the game myself. And who do we have to thank for all of this? The worst strategic duo, arguably, in Big Brother history. For these two to claim Monday was a stressful day for them, when they were in the HOH room clowning Shayna that morning, is a joke. The only person that day was stressful for was the woman who went home. Y'all made sure it wouldn't be stressful for anyone else that day because y'all froze her out of the veto when her winning veto was good for your games. It's disrespectful to bully someone and then act like it was stressful for you to make their life a living hell. You better get the hell out of my face with that too. I'ma keep it a bean. I ain't got no time for none of that energy. That's some fake stuff. Oh man, yeah, we stumped him out, but I really stubbed my toe on his forehead on the 7th strike. So I feel like he owed me money because I had to go get a procedure done on my foot. What about the procedure on his forehead? You know what I'm saying? Come on, bro. I know my analogies be up there. You know what I'm saying? Because they be impromptu, but I got to do it for you. Now, for the rest of the night, players would sneak dish Shayna because that's the only way they can all get along. Facts. MIESHA even said the house is so peaceful now. But Cynthia and Todd had a fight before Shayna was the target, so how is Shayna being blamed for the house being peaceful now? Watching Cynthia and Carson go along with this false narrative because they can't admit they were wrong is so cowardice. And what pisses me off more is how LAMAR is now in this costume, which will make him dislike Todd. Whose game does this help, y'all? MIESHA and TODRICK. Because if Carson wins veto, Todd will be okay with letting Lamar go over CYNTHIA to layup. But now, based off the edit, he's making it seem like he would be more willing to let CYNTHIA go over Lamar. But I'm not sure I believe that. Correction, Todrick and Lamar are tied together for a day in their costumes. And when you add how Todrick has been trying to buck break Lamar all season, trying to get him to wear his clothes and stuff, this really does feel like production requested Todd to pick Lamar with Todrick for TV. All of this feels a little rigged to me. Whatever Toddler wants, Toddler gets. Let's not forget. Now, the costumes look kind of similar to the costumes Cody and Jess had to wear during BB19 as well. Didn't they have to wear like some frog uniform? Now you got these dudes dressed up in some green leotard stuff. Really, this season is starting to mirror BB19 a lot now, and I'm starting to notice it. MIESHA and Todd must be trolling, trying to get Lamar to see he will expand his fan base wearing this garbage outfit, but Lamar isn't feeling it at all. In my opinion, CYNTHIA should be the one wearing his costume since she follows Todrick's lead on everything anyway. You might as well be chained to him. The fact that Lamar has to be subjugated to this feels like punishment for wanting to keep SHANNA. Todd made a very bad move by picking Lamar for this, and then you throw him on the blotter on top of that? If I'm Lamar, listen, we gonna scrap after this season. Just once. We gonna shoot a fair one. Just once. Now, around midnight, Carson and CYNTHIA are still complaining about SHANNA. They need to be thinking about their game this week, not SHANNA. Then CYNTHIA mentions how she never has seen what SHANNA said to Todrick before after an eviction. She creates the argument that SHANNA should have damage controlled over throwing another bomb. But if SHANNA's already out the game, who would she be damage controlling for? If she left the game with nobody, she has no one to protect. Someone with nothing to lose has everything to gain. This conversation tells me CYNTHIA and Carson are still more worried about Todrick than themselves. They should be happy she painted a target on Todrick before them, but instead they are still in helicopter parent mode. Oh, what about him? What about him? CYNTHIA claims the energy in the pink room feels good again, and Carson says whatever happens now is fine with him. Now both of them are dead set on leaving the game classy to show how you are supposed to leave. But SHANNA left this game being considered a good player by fans. Y'all are about to leave this game classy while being considered two of the worst players ever. I'd rather be SHANNA in this equation. Now, you jumped the girl, interrupted her, and gaslit her. Then ran to get reinforcements to jump her more. Only to then be surprised when SHANNA shits on Todrick on her way out. The guy you two give special treatment to. And now CYNTHIA wants us to think she is more classy, but she got into 2 fights with 2 different people in 3 days over the last 7. CYNTHIA then tells Carson he handled the HOH well and he has nothing to feel bad about. But what else is she going to say when Carson let her be the HOH? Nobody was rooting for CYNTHIA HOH this week because we didn't want her to pull a Tiffany by getting 2 in a row. Facts. Didn't no one want CYNTHIA winning that HOH. He's like, never again. Never again. All right, knowing our luck, MIESHA and Todrick make Final 5. CYNTHIA takes out Todd, chokes it away again. Listen, man, I'm straight. CYNTHIA then says she can't wait to watch this show now. Carson agrees. Wait until they find out their adopted son has dragged them since week 1. Todd had his sights on CYNTHIA and Carson as noms Monday night before going to bed around 1 a.m. Now, Tuesday's feeds were a little bit different. Let's break them down. Around 9:20 a.m., Todrick and Lamar talk about how tough being by yourself when no one else who looks like you is. This was a conversation that stemmed around MARAI that eventually segued to how CYNTHIA feels alone as the only black woman. Lamar believes it's a privilege to be the only one to represent your kind. Todrick, on the other hand, believes every season should be catered to people like him just because he says he is a victim. Pay attention. Both men agree SHANNA and MIESHA were threats, but Lamar mentions he would rather perform against SHANNA in a physical comp. Then Todrick says, but in 2022, do you want to help some white blonde girl get to the end? Lamar replies by saying skin color doesn't matter. Todrick claims it isn't about skin color, but Lamar asks why did he bring it up? Lamar makes a great point here. Why is MIESHA not considered white? Why is she honorary black just because she's his friend? Why does hair being blonde even matter when Todrick himself dyes his own hair? I mean, the guy paints his nails blonde. Like, bro, who are you to judge anybody when you be doing it too much the most? And why is Todrick so concerned with blonde hair white women not making the end when all of his favorite players in Big Brother history are basically white women with blonde hair? You know you just messed up, right? Oh, he's in trouble. He's in trouble. We got him on the ropes. He's wobbly. Finish him. All right, it's time to finish this man. You told us before this season some of your favorite players were Jordan, Nicole F, and Danny Donato. Danny Donato BB22 was blonde haired, so I'm gonna include her in this entire situation. You mean to tell me all of a sudden blonde haired women don't deserve to win anything? But the specific blondes that were helped by production throughout BB history are the ones you like the most, bro. What are you talking about? If that's the case, why are they his favorite players? He's not making any sense here, and he is further proving he targeted SHANNA personally more than strategically. Because if he wasn't on this season, SHANNA or TEDDI would have been his favorite players. Because all you need is blonde hair for him to like you. But if he's against you, somehow the blonde hair, I can't compete versus that. She has blonde hair. Oh. Bro, this isn't Dragon Ball Z. Calm down. You feel what, dig me? It's crazy to me, man. It's insane to me. It's insane. I can tell LAMAR being this logical while being forced to stay around TODRICK for a day is just hurting his game, because TODRICK is sure to run this information back to MIESHA, which he did. He painted LAMAR in a sexist light as soon as he got unshackled from him the next day. TODRICK even asked if LAMAR is here to play or not, showing me LAMAR talking game is threatening TODRICK because he underestimated him till this point. Todd eventually talks to MIESHA around 10 a.m. about his plan to throw up LAMAR next to Carson. We never really see why he is nominating LAMAR at all, but I assume it is being done to keep LAMAR from winning veto and saving someone. MIESHA tells Todd to tell Carson if he wins veto, CYNTHIA will be sent home, so they plan to basically punk Carson into falling on his sword, which we saw during tonight's episode. So, Carson, you're basically being bullied now. How does it feel? Huh? You didn't mind it before, but now it's happening to you. And because you partook in it last time, you can't stand up to it now because you have to have Cynthia's back more than your own. Isn't that why you said if you win veto, you would use it on her over yourself? At every turn, you're super thirsty, super needy to prove you're some ally to black women, bro. I'm sure black women would have understood if you looked out for your own game as well. But the way you are too scared to look out for yourself, it's like you're scared of being canceled on this season. When you're such a nice guy, you won't be canceled for looking out for yourself. But what you did to SHANNA was very close to a cancelable offense. I gotta be honest. But that's why it's so confusing to me. Because you start off this game and you're like one of the nicest people ever, and then your HOH week, the game gets as dirty, as bitter as it got. When you're the HOH, bro, you're the last person I expect to allow that to happen underneath his eyes and ears. You're the one in power. You allowed all that. You were the conductor allowing the orchestra to just crash, bang, boom, all the percussion instruments. You never settled things out. Well, I hope you enjoy it on your way to the Shadow Realm. Now, after talking to MIESHA, Todd tells Carson he is going up in the pink room. He specifically did not include CYNTHIA in this conversation because he didn't want her telling Carson to save himself. Todd is also doing this to placate to CYNTHIA and Carson, who whined all weekend about wanting some notice ahead of time if they are going up. By doing this, Todd is at least separating himself from the rest of his side, which should help his jury management. He also was doing this to separate himself from SHANNA after she said she was rooting for him. Very smart moves all around from Todd here. But the problem is, TODRICK is already on to you, and he already suspects you throwing up LAMAR over CYNTHIA is you trying to do something later, which is why he's trying to get you taken out next. And this is why, Todd, you were better off splitting up the duo now and keeping Carson around until next week. But because Carson didn't think that smart a week ago, you don't want to think that smart either because Carson won't take a shot at TODRICK either. So in your mind, it's like, all right, if you won't get TODRICK out, you got to go because you ain't even black. And see, that's the problem here, man. Because there's so many people who refuse to target certain people. It creates situations where, hey, man, I got to get you out because you're unwilling to play the game the way it's supposed to be. Like, you're an obstacle. That shouldn't be one, but you are one. Carson then jokes about poisoning the food as Todd leaves. Todd then speaks to CYNTHIA. She expects to be thrown up and hopes she can fall on her sword for Carson, but that ain't happening because you ain't no SHANNA. Todd then tells Cynthia he won't put her up. Cynthia says she knows he has to do what he has to do. Cynthia says she respects how straight up Todd is playing it. If their fight was actually real and not fake, though, Cynthia would be way more shocked about this than she actually is. Around 4:45 p.m., Cynthia and Carson are in the workout room. Now Cynthia is saying Todd is this amazing player everyone underestimated all of a sudden because he threw Lamar up over her. Now all of a sudden she is acting like she knew Todd was a threat from playing spades week 1. A lot of revisionist history popping off in these streets. I can tell Cynthia now feels more guilty because she isn't even on the block after being last week's HOH. She now is starting to see how badly she ruined Carson and Lamar's games because now both are being targeted before her by the other 3. Cynthia now feels like Lamar could have been playing her because he said he was alone, but he is included in the other side's meetings. Well, to be fair to Lamar, he has no choice but to be included because all of the punishments are with TODRICK. Secondly, Carson and Cynthia choking by targeting SHANNA made it impossible for Lamar to flip to their side because he had no help in the HOH comp besides Cynthia. Lamar was telling the truth, Cynthia, but you failed him, and now it seems like he was lying because you gave him nowhere to flip to. And this makes me wonder something else. Did Cynthia get rid of SHANNA because she thought SHANNA may have had a deal with Lamar? Did she take her out assuming Lamar would flip if SHANNA was gone? Am I giving Cynthia too much credit to even imply she thought of all these different scenarios? Because I'm noticing a pattern here. Instead of her owning up to the fact that her influence over Carson hurt Lamar's chances of working with them both, she would rather insinuate Lamar is now playing both sides just like SHANNA. But just like with SHANNA, Cynthia Ben knew Lamar was playing both sides because he was in her pocket for weeks, just like her and Carson knew SHANNA was playing both sides for weeks because she fed them game intel before using the veto, so the pattern here is obvious. Anyone not named TODRICK will be thought less of for not being loyal to them 24/7. Carson on the workout bike admits they are next on the agenda, but he is trying to keep Cynthia focused on positivity while she keeps talking like they have already lost. Cynthia keeps acting like she is accepting of her fate, but she isn't even on the block. Does she not get how annoying it is that she is acting like the target when she isn't nominated? It's like she is creating a narrative that she is the back door somehow, when we all know Carson has been the big fish from day one. She is once again finding a way to make this about her and not him. And the irony of this is, she wasn't nommed because they expect her to not win the comp and take Carson down. She avoids the block for not contributing to her side enough, but she held SHANNA to a standard of not being worthy of their side last week. Let that sink in. That's crazy. See, I'm all about adding all the context together into a blender and creating a dope smoothie. The smoothies I create, they're food for your soul, okay? And at the end of the day, ain't none but facts being spit here, okay? Ain't none but facts. And she can say whatever she wants, but she cannot judge whether someone is loyal enough to her side when she has done nothing tangible to contribute to her side herself. Cynthia then says, considering what happened, they made it pretty far. But who helped them make it here? SHANNA! Once again, SHANNA gets no credit. It's all Cynthia and Carson's hard work that got them here. Then Cynthia says they did it without kissing butt, begging, or campaigning, but she campaigned and kissed TODRICK and MIESHA's butt last week. Come on, man. Come on, man. She even said the two of them have been making history because they're the only duo like them to play the way they play. Are you kidding me? You right. Y'all are making history. Y'all making history because no one has been this bad at the damn game, coach. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, you got it all messed up. You know what I'm saying? She legit thinks they are legendary players, bruh. I've never seen this before, dog. When someone should at least realize they messed up by now. Now she putting extra hot sauce, even some ranch on the chicken, and now she acting as if they are one of the best players ever? Because they're the first duo to not lie in game history? When they already have lied, by the way? Because they lied to SHANNA, but that's neither here nor there. Carson then says he has zero regrets, but he really has no choice. He played Cynthia's game and can't admit she failed him. He then leans back on the bike and says, let's go out classy, shall we? Telling me Carson is starting to sense Cynthia getting emotional like last week, but he doesn't want that from her. And when you add the context of her making this about her as well, Carson was right to be worried about an explosive exit in the edit. Around 7 p.m., Cynthia would talk to Todrick and MIESHA. Of course, the only conversation they really could have was about bashing SHANNA. Cynthia thinks she outplayed SHANNA by getting her out because she thinks it was her RHOH. So really, she has to defend Carson's move the most out of their duo because of it. She is the one who trusted the Wonder Twins first, after all. Eventually, TODRICK brought up the veto draw. He said he wanted to scream when they pulled out all those names and it wasn't SHANNA's. He claims he wishes SHANNA would have got picked to get a chance for TV. So now production is telling him more stuff because he is acting like he wants the best TV, only after creating boring TV. Peep game on that paper trail. Around 9:42 p.m., when LAMAR and TODRICK get their costumes off, TODRICK immediately starts bashing LAMAR for being sexist to MIESHA. Apparently, LAMAR said women are emotional, so men have to be logical. So TODRICK is using this to paint a target on LAMAR for MIESHA because LAMAR mistakenly let TODRICK know he is after MIESHA next. LAMAR was also with Todd, and he told him TODRICK don't ever stop talking before feeds went down. Todd laughed about it and was happy to have his buddy back. Apparently, production told Todd and only Todd that the Rams won the Super Bowl. LAMAR didn't believe it because of how quiet it was outside, but Todd reminded him the parade would probably be a different day. For the most part, fees were trashed the rest of Tuesday night. Todd just wants anyone from his side to win veto over Carson and CYNTHIA. Now, as for Wednesday's feeds, production would wake up the house guests really early, like around 8 a.m. for a pretty early veto comp for all things considered. And I don't think the veto comp lasted that long because, man, feeds came back like an hour and a half, which is damn near a world record for a veto comp. You know, MIESHA must have steamrolled them something serious. But I guess it's just a microcosm of the season. About 20 minutes after the first wake-up, TODRICK and MIESHA get together in the kitchen for the TODRICK and MIESHA show, a poor attempt at trolling the only fans left watching this train wreck of live feeds. During this show, the Wonder Twins do get a little messy because TODRICK decides to use this as a moment to justify their actions in the entire game towards Chris and SHANNA. Once again, it takes production interference for a player to believe they have to even explain themselves to cams in the first place. In theory, you should be content with your decision, but over the last couple of days, it's ironically the same four that bullied SHANNA all copping pleas for themselves individually. We got this show within a week. We got this show within a week popping off. We got Cynthia and Carson trying to act like they were the victims, even though they created a pack with people who have targeted them every week of the game to avenge TEDDI. You have Cynthia talking like she is on the block when Todd gave her the week off. You got Carson trying his best to leave the game with class because he already ruined his legacy as a player. It's all bad. This whole show the Wonder Twins are putting on is clearly sponsored by Grodner. You think we're slick, coach? Come on, I see executive producer in fine print while I'm watching them feeds. And the cheek of it. How untouchable must they feel to even attempt this when they are not even in the diary room while doing it? You know, Boogie and Will used to have a little bit of guile in their confessionals. You know, these two, they're like, you know what? Let's do a confessional right in the kitchen. Hey, there goes the camera. Hey, it's 10 a.m. What's popping? What? And no one's looking at this going, we need to get rid of them. Y'all tweaking. That's all I got to say. Y'all tweaking. The whole optics of this is like a PR move to justify why they end up in Final Two because it's so easy to predict. Production needs to know that one of them can't make the end for fans to believe that this game isn't scripted. TODRICK is back to blaming Cynthia for why he flipped next to MIESHA during this show. Didn't SHANNA remind Cynthia of this, but she dismissed it? Then TODRICK talks about how everyone around Carson were around his age, so he couldn't play with them, how he got along so well with MIESHA. All of this is the TODRICK jury management show. Why doesn't MIESHA see this? She is helping him explain his moves so people vote for him over her, and production has them both allegedly up to it. How much harder can they work for one player? I haven't seen someone get this much help since Lifeguard Jesus. That's a throwback. TODRICK and MIESHA, and for the people who don't know, I'm talking about Tyler Crispin. TODRICK and MIESHA claimed they wanted to work with athletic people, but TEDDI was too athletic. That made no sense. Then TODRICK said SHANNA taking personal shots at him, based on him taking personal shots at TEDDI, made him take personal shots at her. No accountability at all there either. Digging his grave deeper, kinda, to be honest. Then TODRICK says he felt trapped by SHANNA in the pink room, but Carson went to grab him, and CYNTHIA was the secret HOH. How did SHANNA do anything? Then TODRICK talks about pageants and uses his experience in pageants to explain why women who usually win them usually do charitable work, but SHANNA never spoke up enough on these type of topics, so she needed to go because she wasn't enough of a social justice warrior. Boy, you reaching like Monkey D. Luffy. Gomo, gomo, no. You doing too much, bro. Chill out. Mr. Fantastic, chill out. Stretch Armstrong. You know what I'm saying? He needs to chill out. He doing too much. None of this made any sense. Eventually, production panned the camera to Cynthia sleeping because it got so cringy this morning. The cams would stay away from TODRICK and MIESHA once they got more personal with SHANNA, showing me production at least knows that this ain't a good look. Now, the veto comp would happen around 11 a.m. and feeds would come back around 12:30 p.m. So the veto was very short, it seems. Around 1:28 p.m., TODRICK and MIESHA are bashing SHANNA some more for reasons I don't know why, because feeds keep going in and out. TODRICK then mentions how Todd has similar qualities to Chris to paint a target on him for MIESHA to target next week. I knew SHANNA endorsing Todd would make TODRICK turn on him, but not this fast. So if you are keeping count, TODRICK has painted a target on both black men by claiming they are sexist. This is TODRICK now pivoting because he knows Carson is done because MIESHA won the veto. So now he already is planning to drag Cynthia to Final 3 because he now thinks he can beat her more than Todd or LAMAR. So now Cynthia has managed to turn Todd's game. Well, now Cynthia's managed to hurt Todd's game now, too, by not splitting these two up. If TODRICK somehow takes Cynthia to Final 2 and she wins the game, she will be the worst winner of all time by a big margin just because TODRICK is hated. I wouldn't even want that for the black community because that puts us in a lose-lose situation on finale night designed to divide us. Black women in that scenario would have every right to celebrate that W, but the context of that W would make it shame Tamar's W. That's the problem here. Cynthia allowed Carson to choke, which opened up a Pandora's box timeline where only the likable players are punished. I wouldn't have even known MIESHA won veto if Todd didn't mention it to LAMAR. The players are so jaded at this point, they don't even announce when someone's won anything on the feeds. All Cynthia is doing from my vantage point is lay down to sleep. Carson is trying to stay his upbeat self, but let's be real. MIESHA should be saving Carson here if that deal he made was real. Surely Cynthia will do what she did to SHANNA to MIESHA if Nam stayed the same. Seems like they only want to be classy when they know they can't win the fight. Todd admits the time to flip is after taking Carson out, and with MIESHA winning the veto, he needs a LAMAR-Cynthia HOH win. If Todd was just going to want this flip in Final 5, he was better off flipping as HOH in Final 6. Him being willing to only do this after Carson leaves tell me Carson nominating Todd was a huge miscalculation. It tells me all Carson had to do was split up the duo and let Todd stay off the block. And in theory, Todd is letting Cynthia stay off the block because he thinks that makes a difference. So that is a huge tell and giveaway that all Carson had to do was let Todd feel special by avoiding the block. And Todd may have been open to the same thing. He's hoping Cynthia will be open to with him next week. He's telling you right there he feels slighted by what Carson did last week. Then Todd would have went after SHANNA before Carson, and that would have been the perfect Final Four scenario for LAMAR, Cynthia, Carson, and Todd's games. Carson not nominating TODRICK is what cost us the best possible ending to this season. Todd thinks MIESHA is the best one to take to the end, but he has it all wrong. The best one is TODRICK because he is so hated. But I could see why Todd would think TODRICK is unbeatable because of all the help he gets. Todd tells LAMAR that MIESHA and TODRICK must hit the block together, but why didn't he do that this week? The problem is, everybody wants to put this move off on someone else the next week. Nobody wants the responsibility or the massive blood of taking one of them out. You would think SHANNA's speech would have woke up Todd for him to see TODRICK as a GOAT and he can win after Carson choked. Targeting Carson, the choker, isn't even a big move anymore. I'm keeping it real. Taking Carson out now does not have any of the same clout behind it that it would have had week 1 or week 3. Let's keep it real. Letting both of the Wonder Twins make it to Final 5 is dumb because they now have a 50% chance of winning HOH, which is really 75% chance because Cynthia won't keep up with anything once Carson is gone. And with Cynthia only playing for TODRICK's win conditions, she is basically the enemy of LAMAR and Todd in Final 5 because she is guaranteed Final 3 without having to lift a finger. Meaning, everything is on LAMAR to win the next HOH on Friday when every comp seems to be designed for his big ass to fail. Todd needed to split up the twins before getting out Carson. He should have turned on MIESHA and TODRICK this week, especially with MIESHA winning the veto this time. It would have set up TODRICK to go home because MIESHA wouldn't have had the votes this week if Cynthia was nominated in her place. Now, this is the plan I would have came up with if I was Todd. Think about it. Cynthia, If MIESHA's on the block next to TODRICK initially, MIESHA wins the same veto she just won this week. All Todd has to do is throw up CYNTHIA next to TODRICK, and guess what, ladies and gentlemen? We can do the quick math. This forces Carson to send TODRICK home because he's next to CYNTHIA. CYNTHIA's the only person Carson will keep over TODRICK. Strategically, that is the only nominations on Friday that would lead to TODRICK leaving the game. Also, LAMAR would keep CYNTHIA over TODRICK, and MIESHA would be the only person voting to keep TODRICK over CYNTHIA. So by a 2-1 vote, we could have had TODRICK leave the game this week if Carson didn't choke a week ago, which could have opened the path for Todd to not choke. And even then, Todd still could have got TODRICK out. But the problem is, he ain't trying to risk the biscuit with Carson because he sees Carson isn't a logical player. So now he's like, I'd rather get rid of you and then go against them because at the end of the day, you've proved yourself to be too bad for me to rely on. SHANNA couldn't even rely on you, and she was white. I'm just saying. From Todd's perspective, that's probably how he sees it. And once again, if you're willing to backdoor someone who uses the veto on you, how can anyone be willing to flip and work with you after that? How can anyone? Stuff like this is why someone like me will not be chosen for a game like this. Give me an HOH room in Todd's place and TODRICK goes home this week easily because I just proved how it could have been done. So to recap, Carson's HOH choke of nominating TODRICK and allowing TODRICK to take Todd off made Todd loyal to TODRICK and MIESHA over Carson when he could have flipped if Carson played smarter last week. Carson's choke created Todd's choke, but this all falls on CYNTHIA, who somehow benefits from it all simply because she can't win a comp. And that's basically where we are. So heading into Friday, ladies and gentlemen, y'all can take this home with you. MIESHA will keep noms the same, in all likelihood, because it doesn't make sense for her to use it on anyone. Carson will be sent to the Shadow Realm. All the pressure's now on LAMAR by himself. Well, really, it's LAMAR and CYNTHIA, in theory, versus TODRICK and MIESHA. But we all know if CYNTHIA wins HOH, she's never going at TODRICK, meaning MIESHA will stay. So at the end of the day, she's basically working for TODRICK and MIESHA now, meaning all of our hopes are on LAMAR to change this game in Final 5. And only if he wins HOH, throws up TODRICK and MIESHA, can we get something brewing with Todd and CYNTHIA off the block, having the majority. And even if CYNTHIA goes rogue and makes it a 1-1 tie, we still are good because at least LAMAR is going to send one of them home in a case of a tiebreaker. But if some crazy stuff happens where MIESHA wins veto, takes herself off, this leads to LAMAR being forced to throw up a CYNTHIA or a Todd. I don't know, man. I can see production trying their best to try to influence Todd. Don't you want to send CYNTHIA home over TODRICK? Remember that fight? You know she said some other things about you in the DR. We can let you listen to some sound bites. Anything for Toddler. Seriously, it's got to that point where I got to be cynical, production. Y'all are acting like this man's defense team. Y'all are the dream team. But with that said, ladies and gentlemen, here are my power rankings of the night. 5th place, Cynthia Bailey. There's only 5 people left. She had to be there this time. 4th place, LAMAR Odom. All the pressure's on you, LAMAR. Hopefully you pull this off. But at the end of the day, I just think all of these comps are set up for you not to win. 3rd place, Todd Bridges. At the end of the day, coach, I can only put you in 3rd because you deserve to be in between LAMAR, CYNTHIA, MIESHA, and TODRICK, but you don't really deserve to really jump in front of any of them because you wouldn't target any of them. And of course, TODRICK is 2nd, MIESHA's 1st because MIESHA beats TODRICK at the end. But in terms of who has more control heading into this Final 5, of course, it's TODRICK. But see, this is where TODRICK's game is going to get a lot more messy because now we're heading into Final 5, 4 black people, 1 white woman. If TODRICK chooses this 1 white woman over these other 3 black people, okay, it could very well turn Todd and LAMAR against TODRICK at the end too. Okay? Listen, I'm calling all of this stuff because it really matters how you take people out. And see, it's real fine and dandy for people to act like SHANNA left the game better and she could have left better. But when someone black gets shown, they don't mean as much as someone non-black. When someone like LAMAR has seen TODRICK put MIESHA on such a pedestal, act as if she's like the special white woman. Out of all these other white folks, she's the special one, right? On the Jose Mourinho side of the game, if you know, you know. But at the end of the day, LAMAR's going to take it real personal if TODRICK votes him out over a MIESHA. A lot of these people are going to take it personal. You know what I'm saying? Because in their minds, they probably believe, TODRICK, you should believe you beat everyone but MIESHA. So you shouldn't be prioritizing her making the end either. So it's going to be very interesting to see how TODRICK goes about trying to turn on MIESHA. Because unless he gets LAMAR to win that comp and throws it to him, but he can't throw it to him because MIESHA's also competing in it. See, TODRICK, you should have been willing to sacrifice MIESHA. You should have been willing to give Carson your blessing and throw you up so MIESHA would be gone. But see, you didn't want to risk the biscuit, have MIESHA win veto, and then you're a sitting duck. I see it, but at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, I just don't see a way for LAMAR to overcome 3 opponents in the next HOH comp, because CYNTHIA, she's basically working for the away team. At this point, she's working for the away team. TODRICK or MIESHA's going to win that HOH, in my opinion. I just think it's set in stone. Now, if LAMAR somehow pulls this off, hey, man, that AFP, hey, man, he might gain some ground on you, SHANNA. But as of right now, SHANNA is still the consensus AFP pick. And I hope I've done a fantastic job of giving y'all a complete rundown on this week. And I'm going to see you all on Friday night. So if you could, please do not forget to like this video, comment underneath it, and share it with all of the fans of Celebrity Big Brother that you rock with. This was the 15th rant of the season entitled Karma Day Carson. And I would like y'all to comment below and tell me, do y'all think this is one of the biggest cases of strategic karma you have seen in recent memory? Do you think Carson, when he speaks to Julie on Friday night, is going to admit any regret in his decision? Or do you think he's going to stand firm because he's stubborn? I hope he doesn't stand firm. I hope he admits he made a mistake. And I hope by the end of that night, someone's able to get in his ear and tell him he was wrong. And I hope he issues that public apology to SHANNA like I've already stated. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate y'all's support, and I'm going to see you all in a couple of days, all right? We got 4 straight rants coming at the end of this week, so I'm definitely going to appreciate my off day tomorrow, all right? I'm Dave Smith of CBBUS Radio, where no one is safe from criticism. Until next time, the Stones, they have a mind of their own. If I snap, you'll disappear. Just like Carson's win conditions. Congratulations, you played